If you're thinking of purchasing a home in 2023, I'm guessing like most of my clients, buyers and sellers, you have a couple questions running through your mind, such as why isn't there more inventory on the market? Why aren't prices going down? Why aren't interest rates going down? Why are we struggling so much with affordability in today's housing market? And is that going to change anytime soon? Well, in today's video, I'm gonna go over the 4 key factors of why homes are still rising in prices, why our inventory has not grown as much as you might think it has, and I'm going to propose some ideas to you and questions to see if you have some thoughts or input on today's real estate market. Okay, let's get started with this housing market and what we're currently seeing. I know we read a lot about housing crashes and housing booms and when's the market gonna go down. And I get told all the time, I'm gonna wait for a correction. I'm gonna wait for the prices to go down. I'm gonna wait for affordability. I'm going to wait for interest rates to go down. And when is this all gonna happen? That's $1 million question. I know nationwide housing inventory is not growing. Housing inventory nationwide is down 40% compared to what it was prior to the pandemic. And this is a key thing to note. These numbers are based on numbers from 2019. So I think it's important to reflect on that because yes, our inventory is higher than it was a year ago or 2 years ago, but that is not a balanced market. And today, currently, homes are usually selling within 1 month's time and inventory is low. So why is inventory so low? And what can we do to change that? Well, number one contributing factor to low inventory comes back to the amount of investment properties that we have. In the last decade, investors, corporate investors, large conglomerations have purchased many more homes to turn into rentals. During the pandemic, we saw this happen even more than the previous few years. Currently, 24% of all single-family homes are owned by investors. And Airbnbs have definitely hit the market, and so many people have decided that real estate really is a good investment. And of course, I can't deny that, and I obviously really strongly believe in home ownership, but should we do something to change the amount of Airbnbs in a city? Should cities, municipalities, counties, should they limit the number of Airbnbs per region, per neighborhood, per household, per homeowner? Is this something that we can start monitoring? And is there something that the government can do to step in? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this because I know that with investors in the marketplace, it has definitely decreased the amount of homes that are available to first and second time home buyers. And this is definitely making it detrimental and pricier. For instance, investors have a little bit deeper pockets. They're willing to spend an extra 10, 20, 30% on a home that a single family resident or first time buyer just isn't going to do. Should mom and pop homeowners be incentivized to sell off some of their Airbnbs? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this because I think this is going to come up for debate. I think we're going to see this be put on a lot of ballots. I think the government is going to step in and try to incentivize some home investors to sell off some of their properties. But I'd like to hear from you too on this subject matter. What are your thoughts on Airbnbs and investment properties? Is it changing our market considerably? Or are you thinking of getting into the Airbnb world and purchasing a few homes that you can rent out and hold on to for further investment? The number 2 cause for housing shortage is definitely that builder inventory is down. Now, I know if you drive through many subdivisions, specifically here in Florida, where we have so many large developers putting in neighborhoods. You'll drive down streets and you'll be like, but there's 100 homes being developed or being built. How can there be inventory shortage for builders? Well, first and foremost, this problem did not start during the pandemic. This builder shortage goes way back to the Great Recession. A lot of builders went out of business, lumber mills went out of business, supplies, everything changed during the recession. And being cautious, rightfully so, builders did not put a lot of spec homes out there. They did not build on speculation, and they definitely could not have predicted what was going to happen during the pandemic, which exacerbated this with labor shortage, supply shortage, permitting problems, and just increased demand because inventory was so low everywhere, interest rates were so low. So of course, this put a real strain on home builders. Now, fortunately, I can say with some authority, we sell a lot of new construction, and I know that the builders are doing everything in their power to stay on top of this, and it's getting much, much better. But keep in mind, probably one of the key factors, specifically here in Florida, is labor shortage. I know that it seems like it shouldn't be a problem, but labor shortage is really a big deal. We want affordable housing for the people that are working on these job sites, but it's kind of a catch-22 because where are all these people going to live if it's unaffordable? So you can see that there is definitely a problem. Another thing with new construction is the permitting time. It may take 60, 90, or up to 120 days just to get a building permit. So there's a lot going into new construction right now, and it's not lowering the cost at all. So that's not helping us, and it is definitely taking time. But as I said, it's getting much better than it was 18 months ago. So if you put a home under contract now, new construction, there is a high likelihood, depending on the subdivision, that you can be in 9 to 13 months. So definitely something to keep in mind. The number 3 reason why we have so low inventory, well, this has to do with our interest rates from the past. I know interest rates now are almost 7%, and after seeing it at 2 and 3%, who would trade in their home for a 7% interest rate? And that's a problem that we're experiencing. So many people, whether they bought in the last 3 years or simply refinanced, probably a vast majority of homeowners are sitting on about a 3% interest rate today. And even if life circumstances have changed, even if they need a larger home or they don't need the home as large as they currently have, it's really hard to give up that property and that interest rate, knowing that you're going to be moving into something else that perhaps could be 7%. So again, we're lacking all those people that might want to make a move. Now, hopefully in the next 3 years, 2 to 3 years, that is going to change greatly. And also, unfortunately, life circumstances sometimes just forces us to make a move. But I'm curious about your thoughts on this as well. If you own a home with a 3% interest rate, how low would the interest rate need to be before you decided, hey, it is a good time to move up or down or to buy a second home? Or is there enough equity in your home currently with this today's market that maybe it is a time to buy into an Airbnb? So there's a lot that goes into this as well, and it's definitely a key factor in why we do not have as many homes on the market as a lot of home buyers are wishing we did. So again, I'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on your current interest rate, and would you buy if, let's say, interest rates got to 5%? All right, the 4th key factor on why inventory is so low. Okay, so we're going to talk about millennials a little bit here. Millennials currently make up our largest population and contribute to 43% of all home buyers. Now remember, the millennials currently are in their 20s to 30s, and that is the prime home buying age. Well, for many, many millennials, they would love to buy a home. I have 2 of my own that say this to me all the time, but affordability is very tough. And so they're competing with everyone else. They're competing with second-time home buyers. They're competing with investors. They're just competing in general with all buyers. And as these home prices have not decreased, the amount of down payment, savings, monthly debt that they have to cover for this is very hard. So they're all fighting for these homes. They're all fighting for their chance to get in because, as you can see from the statistics here, they still believe in home ownership. Unfortunately, the cost of goods in today's world is just so much higher that it's taking them longer to get into this. And so we have this built up pool of people trying to get into the housing market, want their first or second home, and they're really competing with so many people. So as you can see, there are 4 key factors why our housing market hasn't crashed, why this boom hasn't busted, and why we may be facing this for a couple more years. But again, I love your thoughts. I love your comments. What are your thoughts on the housing market? Is this going to change anytime soon? What do you think is the key factor why inventory is still so low? Thanks so much for watching. And as always, reach out to me. Let us know how we can help. Just give me a call today. And in the meantime, keep watching and take care.